Are you wanting to create a highly prosperous photography business doing what you love? Or maybe you have a great business already and want to up your game? Then you're in the right place. Master craftsman photographer Luci Dumas and her guests are here to support you on your journey. Now here's your hostess and tour guide, Luci.
You must do the thing you think you cannot do. And that is my guest's favorite quote, and it's by Eleanor Roosevelt. Welcome again to The Profitable Photographer. I am still Luci, and I would invite you to pop over to lucidumascoaching.com, and you can grab a copy of my 10 Big Ideas for Marketing in the Real World ebook. And I'm trying to figure out how to introduce my next guest, Ursula Mentjes. And it's difficult because I've been working with her, coached by her, studied, attended her workshops many, many times, probably 2010, something like that. She has impacted my photography career. And more than once, I've mentioned how I was at a workshop that was about setting goals, and the teacher, mentor, presenter asked me what else was calling me besides growing my photography business. And I said, teaching and coaching. And I gave her reasons why I couldn't do it. And she said, number one, your heart won't be happy if you don't. Number two, yes, there is income, because I thought I couldn't afford to take the time to do that. And three, you're always coaching anyway, but people will learn more. So Ursula, I'm going to officially introduce you, but I would not be on this podcast. I would not have my coaching business. And going back to the success I was having after the perfect storm of 2009, between the economy, the digital revolution with photography and such, you helped me at that point get my career reinvented. So let me tell you who she is, and then we'll let her do the talking, and I'll be the listener. Okay, so she's a leading expert on success and business growth, best-selling author of UpLevel NOW and 5 other nonfiction books. She's a business strategist. She works with entrepreneurs like me to double their income and beyond, actually. She's a keynote speaker certified in NLP, and she helps release limiting beliefs and blocks and just so much more. So Ursula Mentjes, welcome to the show.
Oh, Luci Dumas, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here. And, you know, apparently I delivered some sage advice like in 2010. I don't remember saying that, but I'm so glad I did say it in that way, because I still say that. Like, if it doesn't come from your heart, you're not going to be happy. And so congratulations. And I was just sharing with Luci before the show that I think of her every day, because we have her photography art all around our home. And my son, Luca, and you told me this, Luci, you said your son will appreciate having this photo of him. So we have a picture of Luca in his room. That's his face when he was like one year old, I think. Mm-hmm. And you said it'll build his confidence. You told me that. And I think about that, you, and every time I look at that picture, and Luca, aww, I believe that. I've asked him, I'm like, how do you feel about having all these pictures in your room? Because he's got some, we've got some, they're all over our house. And he's like, I love those photos, Mom. In fact, just last night, he brought in our photo book and he said, Mom, can we look at this together? He goes, this is my favorite. And so I can tell you, I mean, it's like, you're with us all the time. So thank you. And you made me realize what it means to have photo art. I didn't fully get that until I met you. And we're going to come back. I know you're going to squeeze this in. You don't do a lot of that anymore, because you're too busy coaching other people, but you're going to squeeze this in so we can do another photo shoot.
Absolutely.
So we love you. You're part of our family. You're with us every single day.
Same here. So, and I was looking over on my little credenza, and I happened to have the photographs. I mean, I didn't plan this. This was just, just like Ursula and I believe in coincidences, quote unquote. manifesting all of that. So, which is what I love about you, is you're so practical. You've got such strategies, but you've got that X factor. You've got that, we include whatever, power of the universe,
physics, spirituality, quantum physics, all the things.
Right. Which is why I was attracted to you in the first place when I heard you speak at Professional Photographers of California, because I could sense that you had more than the practical and more than the mystical, that, it all fits together. So, yeah. And so Ursula is not just a client of, I'm not just her client, she's my client.
Yeah.
And so this stuff that I've been teaching, she's a great example of what I've been teaching, is the importance in people's lives, kids' lives, families' lives of the wall art. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So I think I figured out a few questions. I'm so marinated in your teachings that it's hard to know where to start. But one of the things I know is that you can change limiting beliefs to become, I don't know. Anyway, the changing limiting beliefs can greatly impact everything you do and get you on track. So how do you do that? Because, if they're beliefs, they're beliefs. And so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. That's a fun place to start, because I wrote a whole book. I wrote The Belief Zone, because that's one of the things I talk about a lot. Because here's the thing, and you really already keyed in on this, Luci, is that we can talk about business strategy all day long, right? We can teach business strategy. You teach business strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't believe that you deserve success, if you have a strange relationship with money, which, by the way, I've had all those things.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe you can have a $500,000 or $1 million business, or whatever size business you want, it doesn't matter how many strategies I give you, it's not going to happen. And that was the thing that drove me crazy. So when I first started coaching, I was like, I'm teaching business strategy. Why are people getting stuck? Like, they should just know, like, here's the next step. And then they wouldn't take the next step. And I kept hitting the wall. And then I was introduced to the NLP Institute of California. And I remember talking to one of their lead trainers, Chris Hellbaum, never forget her, Tim Hellbaum, some of the greatest NLP teachers in the world. And I wanted to get certified as a coach, but there was this NLP piece to it. And I said, Chris, what is this? And she said, well, if you want to be a coach who can also help with limiting beliefs and help people have breakthroughs, this will really serve you well. And I was like, of course I want that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what was going to be opened up to me, but that changed my life. And I started, of course, working on myself first, because Luci, as you know, my story, I grew up on a farm in Minnesota, a small family farm, which equated to, we really didn't have any money. We were on food stamps. We were enough, food to get by, but it was very strange beliefs about money. So when I launched my own company, that just hit me right in the face. I was like, I don't deserve this money. Who am I? Like, I felt like such an imposter. I didn't come from money. And so that started my journey. And now, like almost 2 decades later, I have a hack, and I'm going to give it to you guys right now. So a hack for shifting limiting beliefs really fast, because what I learned is we could spend a lot of time. We could make up a story that it takes a long time to shift beliefs or shift your story, or we could just decide, which is a big part of being in business and choosing your success. We could decide that we could do it quickly. So here's an example for everyone who wants to play along at home. I want you to think about your next revenue goal. Like, where do you really want to be in the next 12 months? Like, what would just knock it out of the park from you? And it's not for you. And sometimes we got to move from our head to our heart, as Luci talked about before. Like, what is your heart's desire? What is that number? Because what I know is that we all have one. We all have a number and a next level. So once you have that number in your heart, I want you to ask yourself this question: what do I believe about hitting that revenue goal? And the second you ask that, like, a story starts to come up, or that limiting belief. And it could be something like, well, I don't know how to get there. I don't charge enough. I'm like, I can't charge that much. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough. I've heard this one a lot from women, especially. I don't have enough degrees, credentials, fill in the blank. So the second you notice that limiting belief, write it down. And you can do this you listen to this podcast again, I'm sure your listeners, Luci, listen over and over again. And
Over
we're
and
the
over. I've heard it a
202nd
million
one.
times.
Yes. And they can listen
With
to
a pen in their hand.
Yes. So come back to this anytime you need it. So the second you get that limiting belief, I want you to ask this one question. What are 3 things that are potentially not true about my limiting belief, about this negative belief, or about the story that I tell myself? At first, your brain's going to be like, I have no idea. I think it's true. But when you start to dig in, you'll start to see that it's not. So for example, let's say that the limiting belief is, there's not enough clients. There's not enough clients out there, right? There's just not enough for me. Everybody else can have them, but there's not enough for me. Well, what's not true about that? Okay. Well, one thing that's not true about it, there's like 8 billion people on the planet now.
Right.
And we did this with a client one time, a client here in Minnesota, which is where I'm located now, in St. Paul. She was in St. Paul. She had a very specialized business. And what we realized, Luci, is when we broke it down for her, we found that like in a 10-mile radius, if she just tried to market to a 10-mile radius, she'd never be able to deliver the amount of business that was just sitting around her. Like it was just too much business. Like even if she took on 1%. And so what she realized is there's more than enough business. And then what else is not true about it? Other people are doing it. Other people have clients who are paying that much. So it's also possible. So you just go through this process. And once you get to the 3 things, that limiting belief just starts to go away. Now, then you want what we call an achieving belief. And I have a new way, like I have a hack of writing it. And it starts like this.
Okay.
Go ahead, question.
So I like to just do a little quick, make sure I've got this right before we jump to the next thing. So we're going to think about our heart's desire.
Yes.
And then what we believe about hitting that goal. And notice what comes up in the negative. And then 3 things that are not true about this. Yes. So do I have that right?
You have it absolutely right.
Okay.
Let me say this. Like if you're doing this alone at home, sometimes it's hard to come up with the 3 things, but I guarantee you, if you go to a trusted friend or mentor, or a friend or a coach, or you go to Luci, if you're working with Luci and you ask Luci, like, help me out. What are 3 things that aren't true about this? Sometimes it's easier for other people to see it.
Yeah.
So that's like, if you get stuck, I would do that. Then you have the 3 things, and that limiting belief is already kind of starting to fall away. So once that's released, you can say, what do I want to believe about this? So just ask yourself that question. What do I want to believe about this? Well, I want to believe that it's possible for me too. I want to believe that it's already done. I want to believe, whatever that is that you want to believe. Now, then you can write an achieving belief. And the 2 most powerful words in the English language are I am. And the reason is because your subconscious mind believes whatever you say after that. And so over the years, I've built this sentence. So the sentence goes like this, and you might have heard other people use it in different ways, but I am so happy and grateful now that. So I am so happy and grateful now that. And the reason is, 1, your subconscious mind is going to believe what you say after that. And we add in the so happy and grateful now that, because that presupposes that it is already done, that whatever I want is already done. So I am so happy and grateful now that, and then you get to fill in the blank. And the blank is usually the what you want, right? The opposite of what you didn't want. So it could be, I am so happy and grateful now that I have an abundance of clients who pay me X amount, and my company brings in over $44,000 a month. That's if you want a $500,000 business. So I am so happy and grateful now that I have an abundance of clients, or you can name it. You can have, I bring in 20 or more new clients a month who pay me X, and my company brings in $44,000 a month or more. I like to tie all those things in, because then once you have this statement and you want to supercharge it, what we recommend to our clients is there's 2 ways you can supercharge it. You can write it 20 times every morning for 30 days. That's fun because it kind of like starts to shift things. So that's one way to do it. And it's kind of the trajectory. But if you're one of those people who's like, I'm very impatient, I just want to get it done, you can do the 5 by 55 method, which is kind of another one of my favorites, which has been taught by different people. But you write the statement 55 times for 5 days in a row. Now, if you miss a day, you got to start over. That's the rule. So 5 days, 55 times. And We've done with this with our clients, and they complain a little bit. It's a lot to write something 55 times. Now, those who write a little faster, it's a little messier, they'll get through it. Some of my clients, it would take them 2 hours a day. They have beautiful penmanship and they would get it done. The clients who do it have shared with me, like, it shifted their brain. It shifted their subconscious mind. They started to see different results. And I'll tell you, I forget how powerful these techniques are. So I often have to be reminded to come back to them. So that last part is, write it either 20 times a day for 30 days or 55 times a day for 5 days.
So to reiterate, see if I've got this right. After evaluating what things are not true about a limiting belief, then we think about what I want to believe. So in my situation, a lot of people have the limiting belief that because there are so many people who are not charging what they, not charging a lot for, for photography, and not doing the follow through and selling our work in person, that we just can't do that. That, the industry has changed, and because there are so many photographers charging under $500 and giving all the digitals, that there are not people who will want what you have, anyway, the wall portraits and art that you've experienced, that's the limiting belief. People won't want that. It's just the well is poisoned, and nobody wants that anymore. So we can look at what's not true about that. Like, number
Let's
one,
look at that. Yeah, what's not true about it?
Okay, so lots of people are doing incredibly well selling wall portraits and other printed products. One of the people that is doing a lot of teaching in this space, she has a $10,000 club where when somebody sells $10,000 to one client, they get to be part of her special club, and there's a big party at our national conference and stuff. So what's not true is, or what is true? Wait.
Yeah, what's not true? Yep, what's
Okay,
not true?
it's not true. People are investing well. People want full service. In my coaching and my own experience with my friends, there's oodles and oodles of examples of people that are thrilled to have the full service experience that I teach. What else is not true? Oh, people don't have any money in my area. Well, unless you're like in the middle of like the Mongolian tundra, and the next human is 1,000 miles away, then you need to move. But otherwise, in every community, there are doctors, lawyers, people are spending $1,000 on an iPhone. They're finding the money for that. So that's not true. The third thing that's not true, oh, I'm not good enough. And the truth is, we don't have to be award-winning photographers to thrill somebody with the work that we do and the service we provide.
Yeah.
So that's what's not true. So then so then the next thing is what I want to believe about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I am so happy and grateful now that what?
Okay. I am so happy and grateful now that let's see, how do I think about this fast? I'm so happy and grateful that I have 5 to 7 amazing clients that invest anywhere between $2,000 and $10,000 consistently.
Every month.
Every month.
Yes.
Every
perfect.
month.
Yes.
Yeah. And yes, it is true for you guys out there. If you're like, no, I don't think so. We don't, like, that would be, what did I say, 5 to 7. So if we have 7 times 50 weeks, that's, I don't know, I'm just going to say, we don't need 7, 14, 20.
Well,
anyway, if we find 100 clients a year that invest $5,000, that's $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
I live in a city with 3 million, but I see a lot of people do well in communities that are like 30,000 to 50,000 because they can create more brand awareness. They can reach people. They can actually get their name out there. You can't do that with 3 million people. So yeah, it works everywhere. And I'm so happy and grateful that my clients have incredible success every single day. So yeah, did we do it?
Yeah, we did it. We did it. We have the new belief. And then the next step would be to decide how many times you're going to write it. So
Right.
20 times a day for 30 days, or do the 5 by 55, and then really notice like how your thinking starts to shift. And also a lot of our clients, I remember one of our clients from Australia was like, she's like, that was a game changer for her. Like she had tripled her prices in the coaching space and went on to have like a brand new business, like a very successful multi-six-figure year, by just leaning into this new belief.
Mm-hmm. And someday I'm going to, like, maybe when I cross over, I'm going to figure out, is this alchemy? Are we actually creating magic here? Or is it our own, like once we believe, then our actions are different. Or once our own energy changes, we are a magnet for what we want. And probably it's all true, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's all, you're checking all the boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a conversation with a coaching client about this because she had shared something that was a very limiting belief. And I told her about my journey in my life to finding a life partner. And I've not been successful at having a full life partner. And I know I can click off my limiting beliefs on that, especially now that I'm older. People are damaged. The men I'm attracted to want younger women. I'm to this or that. I've got a whole litany of limiting beliefs. And I, at one point, I realized, because I think that's another factor, is how much do you want it, right? So when I was thinking I was ready to grow my photography business and get a bigger team, and that was some things you and I worked on in your programs and different things, there was that light bulb moment where I realized that's not what I want right now. And same with a man in my life right now. I'm super happy with everything I'm doing. If someone shows up, I'm open to it, but I'll fully claim that there's just always been this little quiet doubt that either I could find that guy that would be the right partner for me, or that they're even out there anymore. And then my other one now is, or as soon as it's perfect, then at this age, he has a medical issue and I end up a caregiver.
Ooh.
Because I let my gray grow out, Ursula. And so I can fully identify that I'm a senior at this point in my life. Anyway.
Well, here's the thing. We're not just our businesses. We are holistic souls, right? And we have these desires that we want our businesses to be successful, and we want life partners, and we want, right? Whatever the heart's desire is. So for you, I would really tune into that, like, because there is a conflict, and this is important to look at, right? You have a little bit of a conflict where it's like, I kind of want a life partner, and I'm really happy right now with how my life is.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends, and I know you travel, like all the things you do and all the things you got going on. You live in San Diego. So sometimes it's looking at that conflict, like, do I really want a life partner right now? Or
Right.
like, what do I want? And like my mom has gone through some, shifts, and she's talked about her relationship. She's been dating, and it's been an interesting journey. Right. And so she had to get really clear on what she wants. And right now she doesn't want anybody. She's like, I just want to hang with my girlfriends for this like season
Mm-hmm.
of right now.
Right.
So that's an important piece, I think, because sometimes if we have that conflict, we'll get conflicted results from the universe.
Right. Because sometimes like the conversation I was having with the client, we also talked about, is this really, 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 really what you want? And, so we can do all the things, but if it's not our actual heart's desire, it's going to be hard to have all that come true.
Well, I want to stop for a minute on that, just because I think that's such a big question, Lucy, that we do not teach in our society, and we don't talk about it, right?
Mhm.
And scientifically, the heart, like some of the books I've read, like the heart can think, like the heart is so much more powerful. Like it's powerful like our brain is, but we're not taught to trust, at least in Western society, we're not taught to trust what our heart is telling us. But even in this moment for our listeners, and even as you're saying that, like letting that question wash over us of what do I really want right now? It's a big question. And oftentimes I think we can have a lot of boxes and parameters around what we think we can even ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I think it's an invitation for all of us to be in the inquiry, which can take some time, like to go take some time and really drop into your heart and just ask, or do some journaling around it. What do I want? It's a big question.
Mm-hmm. And that self-honesty, I had some goals on paper for growing my coaching business, having a much bigger, not impact, but being way more visible, and having a group program where I've got a lot of people in the group, and I was doing all the things that, because as you know, I'm a learner. And so if I want to learn something, I go figure out who knows it, and then I study with them.
Yeah.
And I was trying all those things, and it just wasn't working. And the person that I was coaching with at that particular time really asked me, is this something that you actually want? And I decided to just take a break from the group coaching promotion for a period of time, because since it wasn't happening,
Yeah.
my thought was, maybe it's because it isn't really either right for me right now or what I want. And I did need to give myself a time of where, like a field, you're from a place where there's fields and they grow things, right?
Yeah.
So letting a field go fallow, is that how you
I think so.
lay fallow?
I think so.
Which is that you just let it have a cycle
Yeah.
where you don't plant and you don't grow anything. And that lets the soil regenerate itself. And this last year, I've let some of that just rest for a while. And it's been very powerful. And it's been then letting me have new energies and new directions.
Beautiful. And such a great reminder of sometimes we just got to let it lay fallow or let it be dormant for a while and see what comes from that. There's a lot to be said for, I used to call it the in between, right? And thinking of it like a blank canvas, like for a minute or a month or a year, like some parts of our lives, what if they just had a blank canvas and I could just let them be and not have all the answers, but to let it slowly paint itself rather than me throwing all the paint at it. And there's a beauty in space.
Yeah. So do we have time? Yes, we do. When I first started hanging out with you, your business name was Sales Coach Now, and you taught really practical ways to double your sales. And I know you still do that. So can we talk about how we double our sales?
Yeah.
Actually more, but how do we? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. So interesting, just a side note that Sales Coach Now, which was my company since 2009, I basically burnt it to the ground. I liked saying that because it's dramatic.
Okay.
in COVID, because I was like, it just needs to go. Our clients were asking for more. So sales signature course still exists out in the world. And I will answer the question because we still talk about how to double your revenue, double your sales. What was interesting though, and that was the gift of COVID, was everything shut down. We couldn't do in-person events anymore. And then this beautiful thing called Zoom came out, and I realized it was time to rebrand and rebuild. And so the company today is Ursula Inc. And under the umbrella, we have what we call the CEO table, where our CEOs gather, because we do both private and group coaching, but it's a place for CEOs to really gather and be in the mindset and the space of that. So the company's evolved and shifted, but Sales Camp still exists as a digital course, which is very exciting. So it has lived on as I burned everything else to the ground. Now, so doubling your revenue, doubling your sales is still a big conversation we have. And the reason we start there is, one, I love sales and not a lot of people do. But two, it's doubling our sales forces us to grow. Let me just say that. It forces us to grow as business owners. And so when you're ready to take a quantum leap in your business, that's usually where you have to start. Like, you need more revenue. How am I going to get more revenue? I need to double my sales. How am I going to double my sales? Typically, when we have to double our sales, we've got to increase our prices. A lot of our clients are in service-based businesses, and that often means doubling my prices. And I know you help your clients do that. You probably help them 10x some of their prices or more, right? We do a lot of that. And we find that most of our clients are severely underpriced, especially our clients who are ladies. Ladies, we're underpriced. Gentlemen, you're not as underpriced as we are. But that's a place that we have to begin. Now, what it does, though, Luci, what I love about it, and the work that we do, the work that you do, the work that I do, is it's about transformation. When someone goes through the process of doubling their sales, doubling their revenue, it forces them to shift inside. And you can't shift one thing without shifting another. It's the reason I wrote my book, UpLevel Now. It's about the domino effect. When I double my prices or quadruple them, it has a domino effect, not in just my business. It lifts my confidence in every area of my life. And we've seen women change their legacy with their kids, their grandkids, their everything, because they raise their prices. And we know in other countries, when women start businesses, it changes their entire lineage. It changes their family. It changes how the boys treat the moms, how the husbands treat the wives. Like, it frees women. And that, like, I'm super passionate about it. So you asked me the question. So why do we do that? Like, deep down, it's like, whether you're a man or a woman, when you expand what your price is and your company expands, you have to expand too. And the transformational work that comes with it is beautiful. And so most of the people that show up in our world start with a double. They double their prices, they double their revenue. And along the way, it's amazing to witness their transformation.
Yeah, I have an example of not about prices, but the expansion. When I decided to do podcasting 200 episodes ago, I physically felt pain like a baby bird trying to break out of its shell, because I was like, I'm going to have this podcast. My plan is to have it go worldwide, which now it's been listened to in 85 countries. So that's half the world's countries. Yeah. And I like it was an ache. I can't quite describe it. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you're growing or you're stepping in and it's just energetically not where you've been. And now I feel like, okay, I'm global. It's just not a thing, but it was interesting to do the work of allowing this, whatever it was, to crack open and make this decision. And I tell a story about so in my photography business, there was always that next, like, okay, I've had $1,000 sale. So now I'm visualizing 1,500 and having to sit with the feeling of that and the fears. And I had a client once one of my first really significant sales in family portraits, where it was $20,000. And she's somebody I'd worked with. So I knew I could just say, I'll total this up and I'll get back to you. But I could not call her for 2 weeks because I could not say, Joanne, I totaled it up and it's 20,000. And I practiced. I walked around. I wrote it out. I did all kinds of things to prepare myself. So just what you're talking about, to expand to the place where I could fit that. And then when I, called her up, hey, Joanne, I did the totals. It's 20. Do you want to do the whole thing now, or do you want to split it? And she's like, oh, that's fine. Or anyway, she says, that's fine. Can I do the half now, half later? Sure. And then she says, I'm so excited because I'm going to New York next week, and I'm going to have like Pierre Cardin design a gown for me for a gala. And then I'm going to go to this art gallery and buy a painting by Pablo Picasso's daughter, Paloma. And I was so tempted to discount the 20,000 and make it 15. And I would have kicked myself that she's flying off, and on the weekend, she's probably going to drop what, 100 grand, maybe on those two things. But it was just what you're talking about. I had to have that internal shift. And then after that, then the next $5,000, $8,000 sale
is nothing.
Okay, got it.
Well, one of the things we don't talk about enough, in my opinion, and I couldn't even name this for a long time because it was sort of along the lines of like, we're talking about like expansion. But one of the things that one of my coaches taught me was about the nervous system. Like our nervous system can only handle so much, or it like goes like we freak out, right? And that's when we freak out and we discount or we back down, right? So Luci, what you were doing, which is such a great example, and we all do this, you were calibrating your nervous system to 20 grand. And then once you did it, although it was painful, right? You had to hold the frequency of 20,000. You had to ask for the 20,000. You didn't go back, you didn't shrink back, you didn't contract, you stayed in the expanded energy. And then once you push through that on the other side, you're like, oh, I got this now. Like now your nervous system was calibrated with that. So it's just a beautiful example of how to do that.
I love that. I know I've heard about the vagal nerve. Do you know that term?
Like Vegas?
Vagus nerve. Vagus nerve.
Yep.
It's not spelled like Las Vegas. Right. That it's this nerve that runs like from our belly button all the way up and includes the heart. Like when we have a heartbreak, there's actually a nerve. It's not an imagining, it's a physical thing. And there are people who like their whole coaching career, or their whole everything is about ways to rev up your vagus nerve. And I love learning. I love learning new things. So I love what you just said about the actual physiology of expanding our energy.
And then holding that. Yeah, beautiful.
And holding that. Let's see. I also wanted to know, and maybe you've already covered this in a less specific way, but getting unstuck from our comfort zone. Is that different or pretty much that process?
Yeah. Well, I did change the way I think about that a few years back. So my book before the UpLevel Now was The Belief Zone. And one of the questions I asked myself for a long time was, because I talked about being in the comfort zone, right? All the time. And then one day I was like, well, where do we go when we leave our comfort zone? Where are we? Like, are we just floating around like zombies? Like, I come out of my comfort zone. Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And it occurred to me that what we step into is a new belief zone. And that's why I named my book The Belief Zone, because when you leave your comfort zone, right, and you shift a new belief to what's possible, you step into a new belief zone, kind of like what we were just talking about with expansion. And then when you hold this new belief, right, then you get to live in this new belief zone and get different results. So it's like, I like to have a physical manifestation of thinking of leaving the comfort zone and stepping into a new belief zone. There's something powerful about creating that container of this new belief zone and this new frequency that I'm holding around this belief. And that just is helpful for me. It's helpful for my clients to hold that new energetic space.
That makes total sense. And then it's like, you can look back and be like, I don't even remember when, like, let's say I wasn't podcasting worldwide, it's just what I do. Or I don't remember when I was selling just a handful of 8x10s for just a few $100s, if that. It's just we become that next version of ourselves to the point where I think it's easy to forget how far we've come.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, couple of questions. There's basically two. So one is, how do we get in touch with you if people want to learn more? And I know you have an opportunity or a gift for my listeners. So
yes,
tell us about that.
Yeah, thanks for asking. The easiest way is through the website. So ursulainc.co, not .com, .co is my main website now. You can email us anytime at contact@ursulainc.co. That's super easy. I hang out as Ursula Mentjes on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'd say I'm most active on like Instagram. There's a lot going on there. And then I do have a YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, we put a lot on there, which
Okay.
I'm going to be interviewing Luci, and she'll be on the YouTube channel, which will be fun. And then I have the podcast, Quantum Revenue Expansion. So lots of places that I'm hanging out where you can get some free content. And then on the homepage, ursulainc.co, actually, we have a special link for this group. So we have a special link for the Quantum Revenue Expansion Masterclass, which we'll have in the show notes. And the Quantum Revenue Masterclass does three things. One, it helps you calibrate your pricing, whatever that is. Like if you need to 2x your pricing, how do you do that? And I break it down, how to double or triple your pricing, whatever that is, and how to create a new monthly revenue goal, right? Like if you want to hit $500,000 a year, that's $44,000 a month. What's it going to take to get there? The second part of the class, we dive into your marketing and your sales. So once you get your pricing in alignment, what needs to shift in your marketing and sales to grow? And the third part of class is about collapsing time. I love that.
Ooh,
and
I
that's
like
how to
that.
get there even faster. Like, what do you need to leverage to reach your goals even faster? So that's what I talk about in the third part of the class. So that's our free gift for your listeners.
Is this a live class or is this a downloaded?
This is
class?
pre-recorded, so you can just get access right away and watch the whole thing. It's 3 hours, or you can take your time with it.
Awesome. Awesome. And I know you do, is it monthly or bi-monthly events? And is that information on the website?
Yeah. So we have our course, the 2X Intensive, which is on my website. If you're interested in learning more, it's 2 days with us focused on really 2Xing your revenue, like what needs to happen in every area of your business, including your mindset, to make that 2X happen. And it includes, that course includes private coaching before you even get to the class. So we made that class very robust. And you can go to ursulainc.co/apply, send us information, and then we can set up a call with you to talk to someone on our team.
And I have over the years attended whatever was the current iteration of your 1 day and 2 day courses. And the last time when it was in person, I think you did a Dana Point or something, came back to California, and your partner Rebecca asked me, why do you keep coming back to these? Because a lot of it is the same information.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I'm different every time. Totally. And because even right now, this conversation, I'd say it's not like I haven't heard some similar things from you over the last 15 years, but it's fresh every time. There's something about the way that you communicate and your step-by-step systems where it like reactivates me every single time. So now, of course, spending a year with you with coaching, that got a lot solid in place. And I do, that was life-changing, but all of, I'm just a huge fan of yours, Ursula, that.
Well, back at you. And I appreciate that. And I think you and I both are lifelong learners, and we're constantly learning, right? So if someone comes back to a course with us 2 years or 5 years later, it's going to be different because I've evolved, you've evolved, right? So I think that's a big part of being in this transformational industry, which I didn't even know that's what it was until I really started to dive in and see that transformation, right? That's what you and I are in. We're helping people transform. And of course the classes will be different. So thank you for reflecting that back to me.
Yeah, even if it was exactly the same from you, which of course it's not, I would hear things differently, or I get reminded of things that I heard, but we can't hold everything all at once. It's not like that movie, everything everywhere all at once. We need to step in the river or whatever place in the river that we are at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question is to just give you the floor to share either some piece that you think, oh, I wanted to make sure to share this, or just your parting thoughts. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, great. I love this. So here it is. It's not too late.
Hmm.
And I just feel like that's a channeled message that's come through today for all of us and for all your listeners. Like, whatever it is, so often in life we can feel like I missed that boat, or I can't do that anymore, or it's just too late. And until we're no longer breathing on the planet, that's a lie. It's not too late to build the business of your dreams. It's not too late to quit the business and build a new one. It's not too late to find the love of your life. It's not too late. Fill in the blank. It's not too late.
Yep. Ursula, thank you so much. I want to remind my listeners, you're my guest, to stay tuned, because I'll try to do a quick wrap up on that, although there's so much goodness here. That's a challenge. But Ursula, thank you so much for saying yes to being on my show. And you've helped me, even if no one listened to this, if I was like, oh, I'm just selfish, I'm not going to share her with the world. You've reminded me of some things that I can take to my coaching clients and my friends and myself, and put them in a little bit of a different twist. So I'm really, really grateful to have this conversation and to have had you in my life for so long. So
Luci, thank you for having me, and thank you for reminding me why I'm in this work, because sometimes, having a business, we forget, right? But this is what it's about. It's about this human connection and having this opportunity to share and help other people transform. So thank you. I love you. I can't wait to have you on my show. I can't wait to be back out in San Diego one of these days.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, what a treat to get to have another one-on-one conversation with somebody that is, well, you get it. I'm a huge Ursula groupie. And so quick little summary. Before I do that, just a reminder that if you want to set up a quick 20-minute chat about anything, if you'd like me to review your pricing or your website, just go to lucidumascoaching.com, send me a little message, and I will send you a link to set that up. So we talked about strategy for changing our limiting belief. And she said, first, we are going to write down what our heart desires. And then we're going to look at what we have that comes up as resistance. And then we question that resistance by writing 3 things that are not true about these resisting or limiting beliefs. And then we write what we do want, and you do it with the I am. So what we want to believe, we say, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then we fill in that new belief that we desire. And then we either write it 20 times for 20 days or 55 times for 5 days. And that then works on so many levels. Then we talked about ways to double our sales. And we talked a lot about that it's not just about doubling, or what happens is when we double sales or whatever is appropriate, in photography industry, it might be a bigger transformation to set up even pricing so we can sell our work at a price where there's profit. But that by making that decision, it transforms us. And I shared a little about my $20,000 transformation. And, that was huge for me, and I've never looked back. And I love those $20,000 and $30,000 sales. And then we talked about the comfort zone and how to unstick ourselves and how to hold new beliefs. And you can listen again to that technique. And then I want to encourage you to go to her. It's the ursulainc.co/quantum-revenue-expansion. So go find Ursula and you can get a 3-hour course that will begin to help you with those breakthroughs. So that's it for now. And looking forward to the next 100 episodes. I think this is probably, we're at 2003 or 203. Anyway, that's it for now. Bye.
You have been listening to The Highly Profitable Photographer with Luci Dumas. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate, subscribe, review, and share. To connect one-on-one and learn more about our coaching programs, just go to lucidumascoaching.com. Until next time, go have fun photographing and selling your work.